Okay, moving on to the next segment of today's show. It is time for the Week 10 NFL picks, and there are a lot of really good games this week per usual, and it's time to make some predictions. So we'll start off with the Thursday night football game, and we spoke a little bit about this game on the show so far, and this game means a lot for both teams in the AFC South. We look at the Tennessee Titans. They are sitting in first place with a record of 6-2, coming off a big win at home over the Chicago Bears, and they will host the 5-3 Indianapolis Colts. And Ryan Tannehill is playing pretty well. He was not the main reason why the Titans lost 2 weeks ago to the Bengals. He played all right last week, but there are some concerns right now I see with this Titan team. Number one, their offensive line is not playing well at all, and I think that needs to improve in order for them to get better. I understand Taylor Lewan is hurt, but if you can't block, you can't win. And their defense last week played well, but that was against the Chicago Bears. I just don't really know how much stock I could put into a game against the Chicago Bears, where I totally understand the Titans won, but to me, they didn't look like that good of a team, and they didn't look like the same team that I've seen over the last couple weeks. So if I see the Titans play their third poor game in a row this week, then I'm going to start getting kind of concerned. And to be honest, I'm going to predict it. I think the Indianapolis Colts go into Tennessee and win tonight. I think that Phillip Rivers, all he has to do is just not turn the ball over and take a deep breath and relax. And this is going to be the first primetime game so far this season that the Indianapolis Colts have played in. So I'm really looking forward to see what exactly they have in store for us when we watch them tonight against the Tennessee Titans. Both defenses should be pretty good. I understand Tennessee's hasn't been good as of late, but they improved last week. If their defense could show me legitimate effort, I'll call myself a little more convinced on the Titans. But right now, I think the Colts need the game more. I think they're playing a little bit better football right now, and I think they get the win. How about the Sunday 1 o'clock games? The Eagles, they're sitting in the NFC East in first place with a record of 3-4-1. They will head to MetLife Stadium to take on the 2-7 Giants. And the Eagles have only played one game since they last beat the Giants, and a rematch so soon should favor the better coached team. But to be honest, which team is that? I think we could all agree the Eagles are far more talented with Lane Johnson and Miles Sanders on track to return, and a stout defensive line as well, which is pretty suited to stop the Giants' improving run game. But at the same time, I just don't know if I could trust the New York Giants at home, and this is a game the Philadelphia Eagles need. If they can win this game, they will go ahead in the NFC East even more coming off their bye week. And Doug Peterson historically has played well at MetLife. The Eagles have won their last 2 times there, and historically the Eagles have played very well against the New York Giants over the last couple of years, so I'll take Philadelphia to get the win. I think Carson Wentz is out here, makes some big plays, and gets the job done. How about the Green Bay Packers? They are sitting in the NFC North with a record of 6-2. They will be at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars out of the AFC South, who are currently sitting at 1-7. And the Jaguars currently have the NFL's worst defense and the second hardest remaining schedule, which could mean that the Jaguars have a chance to win their first game of the season, as we remember, against the Indianapolis Colts. And then there's a chance we could see the Jaguars lose 15 games in a row. Jake Luton did not play scared last week, but he got away with some turnover-worthy plays that, to be honest, the Texans just weren't able to capitalize on. I could see the Packers defense kind of getting a get-right game here. I understand it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, so it won't really mean that much in the long term, but it's always good to have those kind of games as a defense to just, really get your confidence up and help yourself improve. So I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers to get the win here. How about the next 1 o'clock game? We have the Washington football team. They are sitting with a record of 2-6, and they will be heading to Detroit to take on the 3-5 Lions. And Alex Smith looked okay last week from the remarkable story phase of his comeback to he still looks like an NFL quarterback stage, and now he gets a chance for a win that could start counting down the days of the Matt Patricia era, because right now, the more and more I look at this Detroit Lions team, I just don't know what I was thinking picking them to make the playoffs. I had them sneaking in as a wild card. I thought Matthew Stafford really played well last year with Kenny Galladay, but I got to be honest, Matt Patricia, I think he's one of the worst 5 coaches in the league, And I think Ron Rivera is significantly the better coach in this game. I think Washington will have some momentum playing like they did last week. I understand they lost, but maybe Alex Smith playing, having Alex Smith for a full week of practice, you get that veteran in there. Maybe that changes some things for this Washington football team. And Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, both those guys are legitimate playmakers. Unfortunately, Washington, they almost had a nice comeback against the Giants, but unfortunately, they fell just short and were not able to get the job done. I'm actually going to predict them to go into Detroit and get the victory on Sunday. I just can't trust the Lions right now. They don't look like a very good football team to me. I don't really know if they're even going to want to play for the coach, considering everything that's gone down there between everything this season and Darius Slay and the comments he made about Matt Patricia in the offseason, which obviously, if you're a Lions fan, those comments were very concerning. So I'm going to have to pick the Washington football team to go into Detroit and get the victory on Sunday. I'm really looking forward to the game. Washington's defense, I still believe in. I like Chase Young, like Ryan Kerrigan, like some of the corners they got, Landon Collins in that secondary as well. So I'm going to take Washington to get the win. How about the Cleveland Browns? This is a big game for them. They're sitting at 5-3 in the AFC North, right in the middle of that AFC wildcard race. They will head to Houston, or they will host Houston, taking on the 2-6 Texans. And looking at this game, I think it could be close because Houston, they got another win last week, albeit against Jacksonville, and the potential return of Nick Chubb comes just in time to face a Texans run defense that has helped ruin Deshaun Watson's season. These teams are close to equal despite their records, but those records serve as a reminder that the NFL is not all about the quarterback, and I trust the Browns' lines. I trust their coaches more, and it's crazy because Romeo Crennel, he was actually the head coach of the Cleveland Browns back in the day. The last time the Cleveland Browns had a winning season was 2007, and Romeo Crennel was their head coach. Derek Anderson was out there leading that team, and they almost made it to the NFL playoffs. Unfortunately, they fell a game short, but Cleveland, this is a big game for them. They have to win this game at home because right now the pressure's on. All of a sudden, they lost that game to the Raiders. They now have the bye week, and they're just a bunch of teams in the AFC standing there with a record of 5-3. So Nick Chubb, if he could run the ball effectively, I think Cleveland gets the job done. Cleveland's defense is very hit or miss. They have Myles Garrett. They have Denzel Ward. Besides those guys, I don't really know if there are that many people on that defense that I could trust. So I'm going to take Cleveland to win. I think it will be a close game. Curious to see what Deshaun Watson could do. I'm curious to see if Houston at all could build off that win they had last week. So I'm going to take Cleveland to get the win. Should be a close game. How about Carolina? They are sitting in the NFC South with a record of 3-6. They will be heading to Tampa Bay to take on the 6-3 New Orleans Saints. And Tampa Bay ranks dead last in a very interesting stat I want to tell you guys about. It's Football Outsiders Variance Metric, which is an indication that no one knows which Bucs team will show up. And that is a concern against the Panthers offense with many similarities to the Saints attack that just took Tampa apart. I'm still going to take the talent over the scheme because of Carolina's poor pass rush and the fact that Tampa Bay's offensive line should play well in this game. Hopefully should have a bounce-back effort. And if I'm a Buccaneer fan, I really want to see my team play better here. You've got embarrassed last week and 2 weeks ago against the New York Giants. I understand you found a way to win, but my God, that was just not a very good performance at all. So I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win this game in Carolina. I think it's going to be close. It's unfortunate that Christian McCaffrey is not going to be playing, as that guy is obviously one of the best players in the NFL, and it just sucks to see him more banged up and suffer that tough injury. So just wanted to give a shout out to him, but I'm going to take the Buccaneers to win. If I'm a Bucs fan, I really just want to see my defense play better because the bottom line is over the last couple weeks, it just has not been good at all. Let's go to the 4 o'clock games, and there are a bunch of 4 o'clock games this week, which is a great sign. I feel like the NFL should just do this more often, as the Dolphins will host the Los Angeles Chargers. And a couple of things. The Dolphins are actually a little banged up. They're thin at the running back position and wide receiver as well, because Preston Williams, one of their top targets who Tua has actually developed some nice chemistry with, he's actually going to be out on Sunday as well. And when you look at the Dolphins and the Chargers in this game, it's a hard game to predict because a Miami Dolphins win would be a big pushing point to just how much coaching and special teams matter in the NFL. But Justin Herbert is there, and he's going to play well too. And I feel like the Chargers are due for a win one of these weeks. But at the same time, I just can't pick against this Miami Dolphin team right now. They're playing too well. I trust their coach too much. And the bottom line is, the coaching mismatch in this game is just too much. The Dolphins are at home. I can't overthink it. As much as I love Justin Herbert, I'm going to have to take the Miami Dolphins and Tua to lead this team to their third win in a row and continue that push towards an AFC East title. And then hopefully, if you're a Dolphin fan, maybe this week, you could gain one game on the Buffalo Bills. Continuing with the 4 o'clock games here during Week 10 of the NFL season, let's go to the NFC West. How about the Las Vegas Raiders coming off a monstrous division win? They're sitting right now at 5-3 in one of the 3 AFC wildcard spots, and they will be taking on at home the 3-5 Denver Broncos, another division game for this Raider team. Denver going into this one 3-5, and I feel like guys like Devin Booker and Nelson Aguilar are really making noise. And that's a sign that John Gruden's system is really working in Vegas. He's making players better. And the Broncos' offense is not very good right now. I don't really know how you could trust Drew Lock going on the road and winning anywhere. I don't know how you could trust Vic Fangio going to Vegas and getting a win. So I'm going to take the Vegas Raiders to stay hot and get the win here and keep their positive momentum going. I'm really impressed with what these guys have been able to do over the last couple weeks. I mean, the other day, the game against the Chargers, look, it wasn't their best game, but still, they found a way to win, albeit against the Chargers, and we know what the deal with the Chargers is. They're a team that always finds somehow, some way to lose close games. And the Raiders knew what they were doing. They got into a close game late against the Chargers and somehow found a way to win. And looking at this game, Denver, I don't really know how you could trust them going on the road and winning anywhere, especially after what they did last week against the Atlanta Falcons. I actually picked Denver to go into Atlanta last week and win. Unfortunately for me, that game did not go well at all, as Atlanta just beat them up pretty bad and ended up getting the victory. So it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening with this Denver Bronco team going forward. I don't think Vic Fangio is going to be fired, but if they don't make the playoffs this year, I think there's a very good shot that next year we could see him entering a hot seat kind of year. I don't really trust him in the progress Denver has been making so far, and I like the Raiders. I'm very curious to see what exactly they could do, and I don't trust the Broncos at all. How about the Buffalo Bills? This is going to be a good one. Sitting at 7-2, coming off a monstrous win over the Seattle Seahawks, they will head to the desert, taking on Kyler Murray and the 5-3 Cardinals. And we know the Bills' defense probably is better than the numbers suggest. Just check the talent. The Cardinals' defense probably isn't as good as the numbers suggest, but check again the quarterbacks Arizona has faced. John Brown is healthy again, I get it, and the Bills are the last team that a defense with short corners wants to face. But at the same time, I don't trust the Buffalo Bills coming off a monstrous win to go on the road to Arizona and get the job done, especially when Arizona's coming off the loss. I love Kyler Murray. I think he's the better quarterback in this game. I trust him and his ability to make more plays in this game. And to be honest, I like Josh Allen and everything that he did last week, but once again, that was against a middle school defense, and I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are up for that. I think the Cardinals are going to have a pretty big game here. I think their offense does well. I think Kyler Murray has to involve DeAndre Hopkins here. Only 30 yards last week. That is not going to get the job done. I think if you're Arizona and you're Cliff Kingsbury, you have to preach to Kyler Murray to use him more. And also, I don't trust Cliff Kingsbury, man, especially with his clock management. Like, he's done a good job, I think, since he's gotten the head coaching job of the Arizona Cardinals. But at the same time, I think he has to be a little more alert with the clock, because the last 2 weeks, he's could have almost cost his team the game. And even last week, I mean, that 49-yard field goal, that was very weird. If you saw the game, he missed it short. It was spot on. It was just short. I've never really seen that happen on a 49-yard kick without getting blocked. But at the same time, it was 4th and 1. And the reason why Arizona lost that game on Sunday to the Dolphins was because they just were not very good in short yardage situations at all. And I do feel like in this game, if you're Arizona, you can maybe take that air raid offense a little longer and use it a little more. And I just trust Kyler Murray to outscore Josh Allen in the spot. So I'll take the Cardinals. How about the New Orleans Saints? They will be hosting the San Francisco 49ers. New Orleans right now, the number 1 overall seed in the NFC South. They're sitting with a record of 6-2, and they will host the 49ers, who are sitting with a record of 4-5. And this is a rematch of the two teams that played last year. You remember George Kittle just had that monster game, And unfortunately, the Niners are super banged up right now. And I do give them a legitimate chance to win this game just because I'll never not believe in Kyle Shanahan. I think he's one of those coaches in the league where as long as you have Kyle Shanahan on your sideline, you'll always be able to have some kind of a shot to at least win the game. And once again, the 49ers banged up. I've never really seen an injury report like I've seen the 49ers report for this week. And COVID, even with complications with players out. And last week, the 49ers got smacked around by Green Bay. I do expect a better effort from San Francisco here. I think they at least keep it close, but I will take the Saints to win. How about the Rams and the Seahawks? And this is a big one because it's for the top dog crown in the AFC West. And interesting numbers here. Pete Carroll in his career is 2-4 against Sean McVay, which is, for his standards, struggling against the Rams. Even during the Rams' worst days of December 2019. Last year, the Seahawks went into the Rams, and on a Sunday night, when the Seahawks were in position to make the playoffs, the Rams didn't, and still Seattle found a way to lose, and the Rams ended up winning the game. Brandon Staley, the Rams' defensive coordinator, is a guy I really like. I really believe in what he's been able to do with this Rams defense, and against that Seattle offensive line, I think it's just trending in the wrong direction. It's very hard for me to trust Seattle's defense to go anywhere right now and win any kind of game. That is the worst defense in the NFL. I still cannot believe what Josh Allen was able to do to them last week. That was just an absolute disgrace. So I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams to win here. This is really the first time I'm picking the Rams to win a big game this season. I picked them to beat Buffalo. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. But I do think at the same time, this is the kind of game where they're at home. This is probably the biggest game of their season so far. They struggled against San Francisco in their one divisional game so far this season. I think this is a game they need. I can't trust Seattle right now. So I'm going to take the Rams to go at home, get the win over Seattle. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers, sitting with a record of 8-0, the only undefeated team left in the NFL? They will be at Heinz Field, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. And every advanced metric suggests that this is just a total mismatch. And I think it is. But my eyes say that Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense does get better each and every week. My only problem is when you're playing behind that offensive line, I just don't know how you're going to be able to stop this Steelers pass rush. TJ Watt, Bud Dupree, Minkah Fitzpatrick, the Steelers' defense is the best in the league, even without Devin Bush. I've been saying that since March. I mean, this defense is just unreal. I really love the way and the direction they were going in towards the back end of last year to this year. So I'm going to take the Steelers to win. I think they win by about a touchdown or two. Hopefully Joe Burrow will be competitive. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt because the Steelers defense, we know what they like to do to quarterbacks. And especially after the Steelers' effort last week against the Dallas Cowboys, I would love to see a much better effort here against Cincinnati, which I do believe we'll get, especially considering that the Steelers just didn't play well last week. I think you get a bounce back effort from them. How about the Baltimore Ravens? They're sitting with a record of 6-2 in the AFC North. They will be at home against the New England Patriots, and it's funny because this is actually going to be a rematch of last year's Sunday Night Football game between the Ravens and the Patriots. And if you remember, in that game, that was really the coming out party for Lamar Jackson, and that was really the first time where I remember saying to myself last year, wow, the Baltimore Ravens are legitimately one of the contenders in the AFC, and the New England Patriots are not. Because Tom Brady and the Patriots just didn't look right in that game. And to be honest, they never really were able to recover. And I do believe that kind of started the demise of the Patriots and really everything that transpired towards the back end of last season. So with that being said, I'm actually going to take the New England Patriots to get the win here. And I know you're going to think I'm crazy, Zach. You picked the Patriots to win the AFC East before the season started, and you're going to pick them to win this game after they barely beat the New York Jets on Monday Night Football? What are you doing? Well, I don't know, man. I just believe in Cam Newton. I know he hasn't looked great as of late. I believe in Bill Belichick to just somehow, some way come up with some kind of game plan to stop Lamar Jackson. And with this kind of win, it tells me a little bit more about the Ravens than I would about the Patriots. I don't trust the Baltimore Ravens, man. Unfortunately, I do not. Going on the road to beat any good team, I'm going to take the Patriots and their defense to finally start playing a little bit better. I know their defense hasn't been good at all. There really is no reason for me with this pick. If you've listened to the show, you know I bought the Patriots all year. I'm going to pick them to win this game. And then how about Monday Night Football, the Vikings and the Bears? Even though I just hyped up the Minnesota Vikings, I'm taking the Bears. Bears to win. I know historically Kirk Cousins really has not been good against Matt Nagy-led defenses, and I don't think Matt Nagy is this bad of a coach. He needs to just somehow, some way, find a way to simplify the offense, and I totally understand his offensive line is banged up, and the Minnesota Vikings pass rush especially has been playing much better. It's just at the same time, this is a game the Bears really need. They haven't won in a while. This is going to be their second Monday night game so far this season, and if you remember, they just got absolutely embarrassed in that first one by the Los Angeles Rams. I think they at least give you a little bit of a better effort here and find a way to win. It should be a good one. Bears and Vikings, Monday Night Football.